have an immediate impact. They have to go through your system. A lot of them aren't on campus, but some of them are. You need to get them out and test them out. But could you give us an idea of some guys that may contribute soon?
Yeah, I can probably say that more by need, than by highlighting an individual. We certainly believe that with the loss of J.J. DiLuigi, that we need another running back. And so that's an interesting comment to make, knowing that Jamal Williams comes in at being 16 years old, with now a senior that's graduating. But that need is something that we are looking for another running back. So there will be a possibility that you could see Jamal Williams, maybe his development on the field and inclusion in what we're doing. Also from a nurturing standpoint, you might see him included at a pretty early level. I think that you'll see we have many senior and we're kind of top heavy at defensive line, but you'll probably see Marcus Johnson get some work as well, not only helping us this year, but also in preparing for the next year as we have so many seniors leading that position. Those two spots are probably the ones that come out most, and then I think you have to go to the quarterbacks next and seeing how those players, and I'm talking specifically not about Tanner, who's going on his mission first, but more about Taysom and Ammon Olsen, how they integrate and how our quarterback situation will shape out. So at this early date, those three are probably the area to follow. Man, I'm never sure in terms of who's going to emerge as the key players, but those position needs are probably the ones that have the most emphasis.
Greg Wrubell with KSL. You earlier used the word refreshing, referencing Tanner Mangum, a highly rated player who was grateful or thankful to have a scholarship as opposed to feeling entitled. What's the fine line you deal with when you're dealing with superior athletes who are very confident in their own abilities and yet they need to fit with your program?
Yeah, that's something I struggle with personally. I'm so drawn to walk-ons, and I'm so drawn to hard workers, and I'm so drawn to those guys earning their way. The world of recruiting is just the opposite now, and I have to have, my coaches do a pretty nice job of checks and balances, keeping me normal, I would say, in relation to the recruiting world. I just, with the attention, and I used Tanner as an example, not by the position he played, but when you consider Elite 11 or the opening or all these different labels and things these kids are doing in the All-Star games, and most are being televised or sponsored by some pretty high-profile organization, they're used to being treated really, really well. It doesn't take long before the expectation raises in relation to that treatment, even before they've come to college. And when they come to the programs, it's a lot about getting up early and working hard in the weight room and then going to class and then going to study hall and then working at practice. And there's this kind of unique transition. And I think so much of that falls to the parents of all the highly recruited players to try to help them maintain that perspective. And the Mangums it was just so nice to have someone that had been sought after that highly and had been through all this process and yet be thankful and wanted to be at BYU, and when you ask them for all the same reasons that basically we espouse, which it didn't take much recruiting or selling, so to speak, which I don't think that happens much with the highly touted players. And so the fine line, I think it's still a work in progress for me as the head coach. Some of my assistants are much more skilled at being able to do it, and I'm just trying to continue to learn and grow with maybe a personality that's not what I'm most suited for.